Good evening and welcome to Grace Gavel, where truth meets compassion. My name is Buffy. I'm an 18-year criminal defense attorney who has also done several criminal trials. And so what you can expect from me today is legal analysis where it's available, as well as not telling you that someone got off on a technicality, and being honest and compassionate to victims because they lost their lives generally at the hands of someone who took their life from them, and they had loved ones and people who loved them, and they were important. They were actually real people. So you will not hear sensationalism for the sake of sensationalism. Today we're talking about Susan Smith, belief, bias, and the story America seemed to want to hear. There are moments in history when the truth is standing right in front of all of us, and we still choose a better story. In October of 1994, America didn't just listen to Susan Smith. America believed her. And the reason we believed her says as much about us as it does about what she eventually did. Act 1, the story that stopped a nation. On October 25th, 1994, a young mother stood before cameras in Union, South Carolina. Tearful, soft-spoken, and desperate. She told police that a black man had carjacked her vehicle with her 2 young sons inside. The boys, Michael, age 3, and Alex, age 14 months. The image was unbearable. Even thinking about it, some 20-some plus years removed from it, I still remember the horror and the sadness that, just to think about it is just awful. The image was unbearable. A mother begging for the return of her children. The nation responded immediately and surrounded her with comfort and peace and support. Roadblocks went up, tips flooded in, media coverage went wall to wall. And from the very first hours, something important happened. Susan Smith was positioned as the victim. Act 2, why the story worked. This is where we slow down, because understanding why matters. Susan fit the picture America was comfortable protecting. She was white, she was young, she was female, and she was a mother. What white young mother would do something to harm her children, right? No one would think that. Her grief looked the way people expected grief to look. She cried, she pleaded, she asked for mercy, not for herself, but for her children. And the story she told activated something darker. A familiar racial fear. A ready-made villain or boogeyman, if that's what you want to call it. Lurking in the shadows, ready to take people's children. A narrative that required no nuance. Police broadcast the description immediately because they believed that the mother would give them what happened, truthfully, right? And they were right. Most people who genuinely lost children would want to give the most accurate description possible. But this was no ordinary mother, was it? For those of you that remember, you remember. The country searched not for evidence, but for a man who matched a stereotype. And for days, no one asked the most dangerous question of all. What if the story itself is the crime? The cracks no one wanted to see. Behind the scenes, investigators were struggling. There was no carjacking evidence, no credible sightings, no physical confirmation of the narrative, and slowly inconsistencies surfaced. Susan's timeline shifted. Her effect fluctuated. Details emerged, subtly, then noticeably. But the most critical fact was this. The car had not been stolen. It had been rolled into John D. Long Lake with 2 children strapped inside their car seats. Sorry. As a mother, that is extremely hard to think about. Let's talk about Act 4, the confession. After 9 days, confronted with mounting inconsistencies, Susan Smith confessed. She told police she had driven her car into the lake. She said she had meant to end her own life too, but stepped out at the last moment because Her being in control knew what was going to happen. And she had the ability to step out. Why did she not unstrap her children before she stepped out of the of the vehicle to save them too? Her sons drowned. And the story America had believed collapsed instantly and was replaced with fury. Understandably so, because the callousness and the coldness to do something like that to two children who knew nothing but love for their mother is absolutely disgusting and inhumane. The other thing that I think about, and I believe I remember hearing in the news reports at the time, is that I believe it took like maybe 10 to 15 minutes before the car would have been completely submerged. So she potentially had time once she got out of the car to ask for help. I know we didn't have cell phones back in not as much as 96, but there had to have been something that she could have done to save their lives. Would she have potentially still gotten in trouble? Absolutely. But guess what? Her boys would still be alive. And their father wanted them. From what I recall from several years back was the fact that she had started dating someone new who didn't want kids, which they think that was the motive. The motive that didn't fit the story. The motive wasn't insanity. It wasn't a psychotic break. It was heartbreak and rejection. Susan had been involved with a man who did not want children. So what was her solution? Her solution was to make this man want to be with her by getting rid of her children. To me, makes no sense. You had these children before you started dating this gentleman. So you are saying that a man is more important to you than your children? No, there are going to be other men you might meet who will want to have children and want your children to be part of his life. Go after them. That was not her solution. She believed her sons made her unlovable. And in a devastating act of distorted reasoning, she chose erasure over abandonment rather than allowing her husband, or her ex-husband at the time, to have the children. And he wanted the children. This matters because it challenges the way we talk about monsters. Susan wasn't disconnected from reality. She was deeply entangled in it and made a catastrophic choice within it. Let's talk about the trial and the sentence. Susan Smith was convicted of murder and sentenced to life in prison, which was rightfully deserved. The prosecution sought the death penalty. The jury declined. They cited her mental health history, which she did have several issues of mental health. She also had experienced significant trauma. I believe someone alleged that there was a relationship with her stepfather at one point in time. She did show remorse, apparently. I mean, was she sad for her sons, or was she sad because she got caught? I think that's a fair question. Her lack of prior violent crime. I mean, again, it only takes one time. And this was a very, very violent, heartless, calculated crime. Not to mention the fact that you are in the middle of essentially potentially causing a race war. Like, can you imagine if they had located the man that she described, the black gentleman that she described that did this to her children? I honestly think that she could have been potentially responsible for someone being severely harmed or maybe even murdered, because people do not play around when they hear that 2 children were kidnapped. And then they find out that the car was taken and drove into a big body of water. Do you not think that they're going to try to do vigilante justice? I mean, that was absolutely a possibility. And for her to use that narrative is extremely shameful, extremely disgraceful. I don't see how any of this is not just junky in your life. Feel free to share and like and subscribe and give us a follow. We'd greatly appreciate it. If you have ideas for stories that you would like us to go into, please feel free to share those with us as well, and we'll see what we can do. Thank you for tuning in, and hope you have a great rest of your day and a great holiday. Bye-bye.